Hello, everybody. I'm a practicing therapist and a doctoral student of psychology. Today, we're going to talk about the possibility that the person that you think is an avoidant is not actually an avoidant. Before we get into that, I do want to address something. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people talking about this topic, and that's with everything on YouTube and social media in general. And it's not true. A lot of things people say just for views. A lot of things people say just to make people more irate, upset, and have a negative emotion because negative emotions can produce more clicks, which is money. And that's usually their motivation. And I'm just sharing that because it's something I really hope that people can understand. And so, even with me, it's very important that what anybody says, don't take it fully, even with what I'm saying. Because the truth of the matter is, I don't know you and I don't know your situation. And I'm a human and I'm wrong, right? I'm wrong with a lot of things. I might not know it yet, but I'm not perfect. And I try to be as genuine as possible, and I'm always honest with you guys, but that doesn't mean I can't make mistakes. And so it's just really important to vet everything you listen to and listen to yourself first and foremost. I'm saying these things are not actually avoidant, but maybe you know your partner is an avoidant, and so you know better. I'm just making a video. But if you feel like this may fit, perhaps some of the information you understood about avoidance actually from other sources or any sources might not be right. And so I'm making this video to help clarify if somebody's kind of confused what's going on and things are not getting better and it doesn't seem too much like an avoidant, and some sources are saying it is and some people are saying it's not. And so this is for those folks. This is not for everybody. And while they still could have attachment issues, the main reason that your needs are unmet might be a number of things. So that's another caveat. This person could have an attachment issue, but that's not the main reason why they do these things, which means that the issue is not getting resolved simply by healing their attachment style. So the first one is they didn't commit to you, but they committed to somebody after you. This one is a really common scenario. However, some fearful avoidants do this. And the reason is why it's different. So let me talk about it from this angle. If a person does this to you and it's because they don't like you, that commitment after you typically is a more genuine commitment. And they just maybe were dishonest or they were immature, and so they didn't communicate it properly, or things just happened. That is a scenario that happens. That means they're not an avoidant. However, some fearful avoidants, they didn't commit to you because there was a lot of emotions and pressure and fear on their side. And instead of suppressing their emotions, typically how dismissive avoidants do, which is jumping into hobbies, avoiding people, doing their own thing, being independent, what they actually do, fearful avoidance typically, is they might use another person as a coping strategy, which is not healthy at all. And so unfortunately that other person is being used, and that can happen. So they're actually not committed to another person. You just think they are because it looks like that. But if they actually are committed wholeheartedly, that's probably not an avoidant. So that's the difference. It's hard to tell though. But that's kind of one of the main things that can confuse a lot of people. The next one is this particular individual who we're saying is probably not an avoidant, or at least that's not their main issue. They lie very often, and sometimes they don't care how obvious the lie is. When people do this, whatever their attachment style is, first of all, it's not healthy. It means they have a lot of communication issues, or they feel really trapped in the relationship. But more often than not, it is because they are unhappy with the situation. And that's why I mentioned they don't care how obvious it is. Some avoidants lie. But when avoidants lie, if it's a fearful avoidant, for example, it's because they don't want to hurt your feelings. Dismissive avoidants don't lie as often, but if they do, it's because they don't want to escalate you and they don't want you to crash out or have too much emotions. It's not because they are trying to step out or leave. They're just trying to manage the relationship in a really unhealthy way. But they usually care how obvious the lie is because they don't want you to know they're lying. That sounds horrible, but it's true. But if someone lies really often, they don't care how obvious the lie is. For example, if they say, let's say you worry that they cheat on you, and you say, did you cheat on me? And they make up this really obvious lie that's not real, and they kind of like didn't even finish it, and they kind of don't care how to explain it. They're not really fighting for the relationship. They're just protecting their own character, and they don't even care how silly that lie sounds. They're just trying to say, hey, I'm not a cheater. Maybe they did cheat on you, but they're not saying, no, I would never cheat on you. I wouldn't do that. Whatever it is, right? They just make up this horrible, obvious lie. Now, most people shouldn't even be cheating on you. That in general, that's not an attachment issue. That's a person issue. But Another example could be maybe you said, do you like the food that I cooked, right? Maybe an avoidant, dismissive avoidant might say no pretty directly, but a fearful avoidant might say, it's okay, it's not my favorite, but you can try again, something like that. But they're trying to be like not obvious about the lie, but the other person might just be like, oh yeah, it's the best thing ever, and then not eat it and not even care trying to explain it. That might be because they just don't care about the relationship much. They're just putting a band-aid on it, not very low investment. The next one is they act like a model partner in front of other people, but behind doors they cheat, they mistreat, they yell, they shout, they do all sorts of things, but they act like a great partner on the outside. This is one of the most prominent, how do I even describe it? They could have an attachment issue, but it's more likely they have a personality disorder, maybe an attachment issue. But this particular one right here, the reason why it's really important is because they know how to act like a partner. One of the main issues with avoidant attachment is they don't know how. And so if they are able to, throughout the relationship, when very in a timely way, they have something else going on. Now, in the beginning relationship, avoidants can act romantic and whatever it is, but it's not because they're trying to trick you. It's because they feel like that's what they're supposed to do. I've given this example before, like in school, for example, sometimes you have to be kind of a different person just to get through the school day, like in high school. But it's not like you have a reason to do that and you're not really sure what you're doing. You're just kind of copying things, but it's not like a well-intended model student, right? That's a little strange. You're not like pretending you're a model student and then, afterwards you're like a complete delinquent, right? That would be more like a personality disorder type of analogy. But an avoidant in the beginning, when some people call it love bombing, it's not. They are usually just trying to show up, be like kind of like a student just to get through the school day, and then they can go home and relax and like just take that mask off. And so for an avoidant in the beginning of the relationship, they're trying to be whatever a boyfriend or girlfriend is supposed to be. And then once they figure out, okay, I like you, now I can be my real self and I don't think you'll reject me. I don't need to be this fake person or this fake student or just a person just getting through trying to figure out how to do this. They are a little bit more comfortable around you. And anxious people do that too, by the way. I don't think you realize that, but a lot of anxious people, they try to be a little bit more independent in the beginning of the relationship, or try and say like, I got myself together, or I'm secure, or I'm like a boss girl, whatever it is. And then as the relationship goes on, they become more anxious and show their true self. It's not like you were lying. You were just trying to be what you think you're supposed to be because you feel like you're not allowed to be your true self. That's what avoidants do too. It's the same thing. But when a person acts like a model partner in front of all these people, and then behind closed doors they mistreat you, that's probably a personality disorder. The next one is a rush into commitment, and the relationship is now like strong and not strong, but it's like labeled. Maybe you guys move in together, you had a lot of trips, and then they start backing off. Fearful avoidants may do this, but it's not common to such an extreme where they completely back off, or they mistreat you, or they cheat on you, or they start like making fun of you. Those things are signs that something else is going on. And the last one is they belittle you continuously when you do something they don't want you to do, particularly if it's something that they feel they are losing control of. So let's say, for example, you got a promotion. See, this is something that avoidance, fearful avoidance, and dismissive avoidance would never do unless there's something else going on. But you got a promotion. That has nothing to do with being too needy or clingy, which is pretty much where avoidants start nitpicking. You had a great day at work, and now your partner is belittling you. That isn't a self-esteem issue typically. Some avoidants can do that, but that's not the main issue. The attachment issue is not the main issue. It's other things: personality disorder, insecurity, immaturity. And this is what this video is basically about. So let's summarize. They didn't commit to you, but they committed to somebody else. They lie often, and they don't care how obvious the lie is. So this is just very low attachment. They act like a model partner, but behind closed doors, they cheat and mistreat. They rush into commitment, and then once that commitment is solidified and you can't leave, now they're backing off or mistreating you. And the last one is they belittle you when you're doing well, during achievements, when you're happy. And these are some of the ways that maybe your partner might not be an avoidant. I hope this video is helpful to somebody. Please like, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.